Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Hess, and today I wanted to create a new Power App, and I wanted it to be custom, and there's two main things I wanted to focus on. One is kind of making it look like the way a CoPilot Power App comes out, and the other thing that I wanted to talk about was someone came to me and they're like, when I create a Power App and I have, information in two different containers and one's on the left side and one's on the right side, it doesn't fit well on the phone. Well, I want to show how you can move a container below the other container or on the next sheet and then make it look great. Make it look great on the PC, make it look great on mobile, make it look great on your Teams or a tablet. So if we look at the way a CoPilot Power App comes out, it comes out in these containers, right? And they're a little round and they have little shadows behind them. I want to do that. I want to mimic that. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to try and do everything in the new modern. Microsoft was recommending that we kind of move towards modern. So right now modern's not turned on. I'm going to go to settings, upcoming features. In here is turn on modern controls. I'm going to turn that on. And I'm going to insert first off the header. So the header here, right? But let's say we resize it, right? It's not going to fit. It's not going to fit in there, right? We're going to turn on those settings also. So we're going to go to display. I'm going to turn on lock aspect ratio and scale to fit. Turn both of those off. So now that is fitting in there. It is fitting in there nice. So I want to create two containers. Their containers are not modern yet. I don't think there would be a difference, but maybe they'll have some differences in their containers. So let's see, the first container that we want is probably going to be horizontal. And I'm going to push this one across the entire bottom right of my screen. And then I'm going to have two vertical containers for now. So one container. I want to make sure it's in my container one. I want to make sure when I create these containers, they both are inside container one. That way it uses up half of the space. Now you can see that the horizontal came in here. Okay. I also want a third container at the top. So I'm going to insert another container. Let's see how I want to do this. This one is going to be a vertical container. Okay. And so now we have these containers here. I'm going to move this one up, move to the start, and then I'm going to pull container 2 and 3, and I'm going to put them in container 4. All right, so now we have, I want this container at the top to be a lot smaller. So I'm going to come to the bottom container, container 3 for me. I'm going to change the fill portions to 6. So now I have a very small container up here and another container right here. So right now we have a horizontal container, vertical, vertical here, and this one, I'm actually going to change it back to horizontal. I'm going to put 2 more containers. And these are going to both be vertical. So in container 3, vertical. There we go. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So I have a top bar. This is where I'm going to put the title. You could put it up here, but I'm going to put the title and maybe a description, maybe some information on how to fill out my form. This Power App is going to be very basic. It's going to be just a form to fill out. And then in container 3, which is this large box here, contains 2 containers, and it's going to have my form information on both sides. So I'll probably zoom in right here so you can see, but I have right now already 6 containers. I know it gets confusing very fast, but that's what I have. In container 1, I'm going to say the width is parent.width. Now I have this bar up here. The height of it is 75. There's a few different ways I can do this, but what I'm going to say for the height is parent dot height minus 75. Now I could say minus, instead of doing the exact number, I could say the header one dot height. So that's also 75. So you see that right there? Header 1 height is equal to 75. You could do either way if you want to hard code the number 75 or if you want to do it based off that. Okay, so we're going to have some text in here and we're going to do modern. So this will be a text. In the text, we're going to call this inventory. I think we'll call it stock inventory. Okay, and then I'm going to raise the font size up there. I'm going to change the font weight to semi-bold. And then below that, I'm going to have another text. I'll just paste it right in this container. And this text is going to say, we're going to give it instructions later on, but please fill out the form below. And maybe this text will be a little smaller and not semi-bold. We'll do regular. So when we press play, we can see, it's very close to the very edge of the screen, but if we go to canvas, it resizes. That looks great. On the phone, still resizing. Everything is looking great. Now I want it to get off the edge a little bit. It's like a little too close to the edge. So what you do is you come to the padding of the container. So on this container right here, this is my container number 2. I'm going to go to the padding. I'm going to increase it to 50. Maybe that's a little bit. And then off the top to maybe 20. So there we go. So now it's kind of on the left side, but it's not all the way in the center. And when we go to canvas, you can see, it looks good. That's what I want. Okay, so now if you remember, let's look at that again. You notice how there's like a little space in here in these containers and the rounded edges. I kind of want to mimic that. All right, so now in the containers below, in container 3, I'm going to add a padding. We'll go 20 on the top, so we can do it up here also. So let's see, padding top, 20. Padding right, 20. And, we can do that also in the properties pane here. 20 left, 20 bottom. Okay, so now in this container number 5, I'm going to change the drop shadow. Maybe we'll see if we can find it up here. Drop shadow. Instead of light, I'm going to say drop shadow dot bold. There we go. So now we have a nice like shadow there. So on this one, drop shadow bold. Okay, now I want space in between these two. Space in between my container 5 and my container 6. So I'm going to come to this container and I'm going to increase the gap. So the gap, we can also look at it up here. Layout gap. I wonder if it's, yep, that has to be it. I'm going to increase that to 25. There we go. So now, check that out. We kind of got our container on the left side, container on the right side. We have these nice shadows looking beautiful. Maybe we don't want this line here. Let's say, you see that line right there on the container? Out of the box, the containers come with a little bit of a shadow. So this drove me crazy for a little while. So you can actually come here to the layout. Let's see, the shadow. Let's see, where is it? It is right here. It's called drop shadow. There it is. And instead of light, you can change it to none. Looks like it's still there a little bit. We got to do it on this container also. On container 3, we'll go to the drop shadow. Change that one to also none. Now there should be no line at all. There we go. Now that container is totally blank. So now I like the way this looks. We have rounded little corners of containers. We have drop shadows. If we look, it kind of looks like this a little bit. This is where I learned the idea, right? I learned the idea from CoPilot. And so now here's my Power App signed in by me. We can add a little image if we want. Screen 1. Let's see if we rename this to home. And if we change this up here, title, let's just change it to home. Okay, We'll add an image later, but right now I want to add my fields in here. So you can use any data source you want to use, right? Of course. I'm just going to do SharePoint because it's quick and easy. I already have that built in. It comes with select Office 365 licenses. You can use Dataverse, SQL. You can use any data source you want. You just got to change your button to patch with that data source. So if we come to SharePoint, I have a pre-made list here, and it's inventory stock, and it just has some fields in here. So title, details, quantity, size, cost, location, and stocker. So first we're going to insert through the modern controls. I'm going to do a text input and also a text. So actually I want the text to be above, move up to the top, and this will be title. So an easy way in modern to make it so I can see that is to change this from white. Like maybe this container here could be like an off-white color. So I'm going to go to color, custom. I'm going to change it to like a little bit darker. Maybe like a little bit of off-white so that you can barely see it. But there we go. Now my text input is popping out more. And so we'll do the same thing on this side. We can change it to like a blue of some sort. But you get the idea. And say you have this color over here, you want this color to match, I can just say go to color, or fill actually, and I can just say this one is equal to container 6.fill. There, now both of them are matching. Now we can see my drop down a little bit more. Maybe that's a purple or a blue. You decide. That's not the point of this video, is not to make it color and perfect yet. So on this side, I'm going to center everything. This side, I do want it centered. The text, I want it to be aligned on the left, but I don't want it that far over. So the text, let's see here, we're going to make everything aligned stretched, but then I don't want it all the way. So I'm going to come to the width. It's 320. I'm going to say parent.width minus 50. And maybe put that back in the center. There we go. I aligned back center. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Width, parent.width minus 50. Okay, we can see that there. Now I want to increase the gap. Let's do that. So the gap here will be 25. And then I want it to get off the top of the container. So this is where I will do the padding. I'll do 25. Okay, so I got title. It's a large box. I'm going to change the font weight to semi-bold. All right, so I got title and a box. Let's see some of the other fields. Quantity, size, cost. So insert, text, quantity. Now you could copy paste if you want. You know, if I just copied this and pasted it, it would come in there with my widths already set and kind of all the bold and everything that I added. So let me just delete this. Title, move this up. The only downside to copy pasting is you see on the left side, you get the underscore 2s, the underscore 1s. That drives me a little crazy, but you know, we can work with that. Quantity. So this will be size. And this will be cost. Okay, so really what you want to do is you want to rename all of your text inputs because we're going to do a patch statement. So, you know, we want text, title. I'll just fast forward through this, but you really want to rename everything It's going to save you a headache later on. Okay, now let's do the right side. So the right side is going to be, details is going to be a multi-line text field. We have details, location, and stalker. So let's see here. I need the gap here, also in this container to be 25, okay. And this is going to be the details. And this is the multi-line text field. So we'll change the mode to multi-line. Type is text. I want this to be a lot bigger, so the height, let's make it 200. Is that too much? That's maybe too much. There we go. So now we have that large text box. Let's see, we also have location and stalker. So this will be another text field. This will be location. And finally, we want a people picker. This is the stalker. And maybe this actually is at the top. I think this should go to the top. And to grab the people picker, there's a way that I do it that's very simple instead of trying to do all this work and create it yourself. Just go to classic, do an edit form. All right, so then we connect to our data source. Now we can see, since this is already a people picker in SharePoint, I can then make it a people picker in my Power App. So I'm just going to take this. Now there's no people picker yet in Modern, so I'm just going to cut this. I'm going to put it in my form. I'm going to move it to the top. So now this is going to be moved back up to the top. Then move this up one. So now let's see here. No default selected item. No tooltip. We can do that later. If there's an error, I'm just going to remove that for now. That's another video if you want to get into that. Height or Y, we'll just say is 5. There we go. So I just kind of removed the red X's. Now I have my people picker. Now obviously this is a test demo environment. I don't have that many people. Just me and Dr. Evil are in the people picker. We have my multi-line text field. We have 4 fields on the right side and these fields on the left side. All right. So now we have a beautiful looking form. Now we want to write. We want to patch. So if you think about this, in my country, maybe you're in Japan and you read a different way. You want to think about how your user uses their eyes and would write on this form. So most users, and I'm not saying that everyone does this, but instinctively, I would come down here on the left side. I would answer the questions. Then I would come to the right side. I would answer the questions. So then the final place my eyes would be in location. So the save button should be right here in the bottom right. This is a little bit of, opinion, a little bit of data analysis, but we're going to go to insert, or the button to save should be up here, and we can align it right there. So now it's right here. Maybe we want it to be a little bit wider, but this is going to be our save button. Maybe we'll make the width a little bit more. We'll change it to 150. So we have a little bit bigger of a save button. Obviously, we would want to match the colors and everything, but that's another video. The main point of this video is to make this form look beautiful and then to make it work on mobile. So let's actually take a look at what it looks like on mobile. So you can see that it doesn't fit, and this is what someone was telling me before. It doesn't fit right, but don't worry, we're gonna fix that. All right. So now what I want to do. And this is what I learned from the CoPilot. If you come over here and you look at the visibility, right container, the right container 1, you can see that when the main screen size is small, they hide it. Then they're using all these variables and stuff. So let's make it simple in our app. So on this container, which is container 6 for us, I'm going to come to the visibility. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing, except for let's make this simple for us, for me to understand. I'm going to say if home.size equals screen size dot small, then it's not visible, false, else it's true. Okay, so now let's check it out on a small screen size. All right, so now we just have our form on the bottom, and we don't see that secondary form. Well, to fix this, and this is just an idea, maybe you have other ideas, is you can add an icon. It could be an arrow. Let's see, not modern. We're gonna have to go to classic. Next, maybe a next arrow. And you know, you can pick one. Maybe you like that one. Maybe you have your own icons, whatever. You can choose your icons. Now this is only going to be visible. This is only going to be visible if the screen size is small. So if home dot size is equal to screen size dot small, then it's true, else it's false. Okay, so now we're on a big screen. Now the arrow appears on a small screen. If we're on a large screen, it disappears. Now, what does that arrow do? So let's go find that arrow again. Right here, it's my icon. The arrow on select is going to do a variable. And it's going to be update context. Now you can do a global variable. You could do a context variable. That's another video, but I'm just going to do a context variable. And this will be variable, let's say screen visible. Screen viz is variable screen viz. Okay, so now the visibility of these two. So on this one, the visibility of my container 5, my left side, I'm going to say is not variable screen viz. Okay, because the variable starts off false, and I don't want to set it when the on start of the screen. So the variable starts off false. So no matter what, we're going to see this until we click the button. Now here, we have our if statement. If it's small, then it's false or true. Actually, the false statement on our right side is going to be variable screen viz. So it starts off false. Then when we click the button, it becomes true, right? And maybe I'm going really fast, but check this out. We have our screen. We go to Apple. We have small. We click our arrow. The next screen appears. Look, huh, ta-da! Beautiful. And we have our save button, and we have the rest of the information. Now we can add a back button too if we wanted. Let's add a back icon. Let's add a back icon, and maybe we need a little bit more room for it. And actually, I just thought about this. You don't need extra room for it because you're not going to see it if it's on the widescreen, but you can see here, it appears on the phone sizes. Apple iPhone 11, 12, 13, 14, we can see it. Let's try on the Samsung Galaxies. We sort of see it. Oh, there we see it. And there we have a lot of room. So on most phones, we can actually see it. So we can actually change the gap if we wanted to, just to make this perfect. So let's see the layout gap right here. If home.size equals screen size.small, then it's 18, else it's 25. So on our back arrow, we want to use the same formula here. On the back arrow, we want to use the same formula. Turn it on and off when we hit the back arrow. So for the visibility of the back arrow, we can just take this, copy on the arrow, paste it in. So the back arrow is the same. It only appears when we're in our phone app, which we now have nice two screens. It's actually the same screen, but we're just changing the visibility of the container. If we are in a small app, if we are in a big app, so actually let me hit that button again. If we're in a big app, a canvas size, or Teams, or a tablet, we will see both screens. So that was one main thing that I really wanted to get working. So first was make it look like CoPilot, which we did. I think it kind of looks like CoPilot. It kind of uses the rounded borders. But now let's do the patch statement just to finish this off. So not the text, but the on select, we're going to patch the items, which is the name of my SharePoint list. So this is your data source. Whatever your data source is, this is the name of my data source. Items, and first we're going to patch title. So title, which is text.title, or text title.text, or value, right? They changed that a little bit. So when you use a modern control, it's actually value. Quantity is text quantity dot value. Size text. Oh, I believe this maybe needs to be a number. No, it doesn't. Text size dot value. And cost, this is where I need to have a number. So in order for cost, I need to have value of text cost dot value. All right, so let's see what's wrong right now. So like I said, quantity also needs to be a value. Quantity is also a number. All right, so we have these first four working. All right, so we have the left side working. Now let's do the right side. So stalker is combo stalker dot selected dot email, or maybe it's dot selected. There, dot selected. And then we have details is text details dot value. All right, so now we have everything working. Let's fill it out. Our stock inventory is, I don't know, yarn quantity of 150, size small. Maybe we want to make some of these drop downs. The cost is $1. The stalker is myself. This is what was added on Labor Day weekend. The location is New York. We hit the save button. You don't see anything that happens right yet, but let's check out SharePoint. Refresh. We have now written to SharePoint. It's now in our data source. So now the save button, let's create a new screen. New blank screen. And this will say something simple. So I just did the containers real quick. We've gone over that a few times. Thanks for adding to the inventory. Would you like to add another? And then we could add another button. And this is add another. And this will send us back. The button does nothing. The button will send us back. This button will navigate to screen 1 or home, normally on a fade. And then we want to reset everything. We'll do that in a second. But now on our save button, after we patch, we will navigate to screen 2 on a fade. All right, so now let's say, oh, we're in the small screen. We click over, we have our information, we hit save. Okay, would you like to add another? Now the next problem is when we come over, we want this to change the visibility back. So the save button will also update context, our variable, which is our screen viz to false. Okay, so I'm just going to do this again just to write again. So now we go back, we will be here. We want everything to reset, right? So there's no reset properties on the modern right now, but what you can do is on this button is you reset each one of those. So or you could even do a variable if you wanted to, but reset text, cost, reset, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Literally that fast. We have a form. It was filled out. Now we wrote to SharePoint a couple times, but now we can fill this out. Now just to throw in a little bit more, because I know this will come up. Someone will say, oh, but I want this to be a drop down. So instead of this text size, now we have our own drop down. It's here. Now we need to fix our save button. Okay. So now we also have a drop down. So let's say we had rubber bands. The quantity is 2,000. The size is actually medium because it's actually a big bag. The cost is $25. We click next. Who did it? Dr. Evil. These rubber bands are multicolored. And the location this time is California. You could make that a drop down if you wanted to. You hit save. It then writes to SharePoint. It then goes to our ending screen. It says, hey, would you like to add another? You can click add another. We're back to our full app. Beautiful. Works on mobile. Will work on Teams. Will work on an iPad. You'll have your multi options here on your different selections. You can embed this into Teams. You can use this on the website. You can use this on mobile. Boom, we're done. Inventory app that fast. Thank you. My name is Andrew Hess. Please like and subscribe. We're getting better and better at this. I will see you next week. Thank you.